So tip number one is one that seems to get lost on a lot of people when they're first getting into it, and that is you need more inventory. That doesn't mean that you need to go out and source 100K worth of inventory or retail value in order to start though, okay? You can start small and then scale slowly as you go, regardless of your sourcing method. But ultimately, let's say your goal is 5K a month in sales. Well, you're gonna need at least 5K a month potentially in products so that people can actually buy that, right? And you'll most likely need a lot more because nobody's sell-through rate is 100%. Now, if you're selling on Amazon, then you don't always necessarily need to source a significant amount more, depending on the business model, of course, because you can judge product demand a lot easier and then only source in-demand products that you know will sell relatively quickly. But if you're selling on the likes of eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari, then the more quality, generally speaking at least, the more quality inventory that you have will generally mean more sales and more profit. Now, the second tip is one that I see a lot of beginners making as well, and that is to not price yourself out of your profit. That means if you list something and it doesn't sell within your expected time frame, don't get impatient. Finding a buyer on these sites is kind of a lot like dating in a weird way, right? You might have to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince or princesses, as they say. Now, I'd rather be patient, me personally, and sell an item for $20 profit, for example, than be impatient and make $5 profit on that same item. One is a lot better for your business and your bottom line, and is a lot less effort on your part. Tip number three is to branch out on the platforms that you're actually reselling on, okay? Now, Amazon and eBay are hands down the best, okay? But if you're listing on only those platforms, you're really leaving a lot of sales and profit on the table. I would heavily recommend, depending on the business models that you're implementing, obviously, to look into selling on Poshmark and Mercari on top of those two as well. Now, with that being said, listing across different platforms can be extremely time consuming. I totally get that. But the good news for you and me is there are softwares out there that will help us do a lot of the work for you. Now, List Perfectly is a multi-channel listing software that lets you create one listing and then it'll post it across different reselling platforms for you instantly. Not only that, it'll also manage your inventory and take sold inventory off other platforms once you no longer have it in stock. Now, you can test out List Perfectly for free, 100%. Just head over to listperfectly.com and sign up for their free trial. Now, I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just really believe in the software. I use it myself, and I know it can help you. The next tip is a crucial one, and that's that it is a lifestyle. You need to think long-term and building an actual business. The number one reason people fail in the stock market, or really anything for that matter, is that they try to day trade stocks instead of focusing on investing for the long term. Same thing with reselling, really. It's simple. Find inventory that's profitable, list it, and then wait for the right buyer to come by when the time is right. It's not complicated, but it does take discipline and the right system. Now, the next tip is to keep your inventory organized. If you're selling on Amazon through FBA, then this clearly doesn't apply to you because Amazon will do all this in the logistics for you. But if you're doing your own fulfillment on Poshmark, eBay, or Mercari, this is crucial. And I learned this the hard way, so hopefully you don't have to. I've spent hours and hours of my life searching for inventory and for items when I didn't have an inventory system. Not only that, there have been countless times that I've had to cancel orders because I literally couldn't locate that item. And for every single platform, they take it very, very seriously, especially eBay and Amazon. So by implementing an inventory system, you'll save time and protect your selling accounts. The last tip is to do more product research ahead of time. And I repeat this tip almost in every single tip video because it's super, super important. Now, this mainly goes for the sourcing techniques where you're actually spending a decent amount of money into inventory. It doesn't necessarily make sense to do it for, sourcing techniques where you're getting free or cheap products. So for coupon arbitrage and cashback arbitrage, where you're buying into inventory super cheap or getting those free products, I wouldn't really worry about it, right? Then the name of the game really just becomes more inventory listed, more potential profit. But if you're buying into inventory like wholesale or books or bulk deal with the intention of reselling on Amazon, for example, then the most important step is the product research. You want to look at the listing, you want to look at the sales velocity, and you want to look at the competition on that listing as well. If you're sourcing liquidation to sell on eBay, for example, then you want to look into the product demand for that potential brand or that product. Now you can do that by searching for it initially, and then literally on the side you want to go to sold and completed listings and see exactly what of that brand and that specific listing or listings very, very similar have sold for. You want to look at the amount of sales and the recency of those sales. You also want to check the supply and the competition for that said product. Are there a bunch of sellers on the listing, for example, that are listing the product a lot lower than you were hoping to? Then in that case, it's probably a bad buy. So there you have it, guys. 6 tips that will help you scale your reselling business this year.